What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you've been here before, how you doing? Appreciate you for coming back. If it's your first time, today we're going to do one of my favorite builds. I'm going to dig through the scrap bucket and find some stuff and throw it together, and we're going to do some sort of San-Mai I got in mind. I got a piece of like old cable Damascus in there that was kind of wonky. It was too small to use, so I might use it, cut it up in some pieces, and see what we can do out of it. So here's my junk bucket that's decent. This little piece of cable here, it's had some wonky spots in it and it kind of skewed on me. I cut the other end of it off, but I'm gonna clean it up on the grinder, cut it up into some pieces, and see what kind of usable material we can get out of it. Okay, so I completely forgot to film all that, but anywho's, here's our cable. I got about 1.5 inches of usable material out of it. I cleaned off all the sides except for one. It's nice and solid. I got a piece of 1084 here that I've cut. I'm going to do that. Okay, so our billet is going to be cable, thick piece of 1084, cable. That's probably necessary. Okay, so I'm about to take a heat. What I'm going to do is I fluxed it a little bit because my pieces aren't exactly square. So I'm going to just kind of take some really gentle passes with the press and kind of close everything up. I'm going to flux it again. I'm going to bring it up to a welding heat, and then I'm going to go ahead and start doing my forge welds. So this pass is just going to be really lightly kind of just squeezing everything together to kind of close up some of those gaps. It's almost at a forge welding heat, but I kind of want to close those gaps up first and then flux it again just to make sure. I'm using flux because it's cable over 1084, and it's from where I ground the cable, it's not perfectly flat. So just to play it safe, you know. So that's my plan. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've got my preform done, and what I have is basically a round rectangle, basically a rectangle with round edges. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to do a set down. My plan is to do an integral bolster. If I mess up the bolster, I'll just do a hidden tang. But I want to go for a, hold please. I want to go for something like this blade shape. I want that little harpoon clip, probably not as long, with a little bit more aggressive of a belly. But I want this kind of profile. Integral bolster, going into harpoon clip, nice little drop point hunter, and I've got a little rough sketch over there what I'm gonna do for the handle, and I got some stuff kind of started. But this is all an education. So hopefully it comes out right and I can learn something I can pass on, and if it comes out wrong, then you should learn something that you should not pass on. Appreciate it. Is like a surgical nuclear weapon. Okay, now that I have my bolster isolated, it's not quite as thick as I want it to be, but I'm thinking as I've pressed it down, I've got the bolster, basically I have blade going to be bulging on both sides of the bolster. So as I lay it on the anvil and forge the bolster down to bring that material back up, hopefully I'll get a little bit of thickness back in the bolster. It's plenty thick, but I want some waste just in case, because I don't trust cable Damascus. Sometimes it looks great, sometimes it, whatever, and you get to the middle and there's just crap. So I cleaned it pretty good when I did the billet, but it's cable, you never know. So while I'm doing this, not only am I trying to keep the bolster in line with the blade, I just had a thought. It's a San-Mai, the 1084 core. That's, God, I gotta learn to speak English. The 1084 core also has to stay central, because yes, the cable hardens a little bit, but it's not gonna harden as much as that 1084. So this was a terrible idea. Whose idea was this? So when I was cleaning off the forge scale, there was a little bit of a seam here, and I also noticed that I'm kind of thin here. So I gotta be really careful not to take away any more material from there. It's about 1/8 of an inch there, which is fine because most of this is going to come off. But I did have to bring down the spine, so we're probably not gonna be able to pull our little harpoon clip out of it. So what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is pull out a Sharpie and start doodling on it and figure out what I can pull out of this with what we have, with solid steel. The cable was kind of iffy to go from the get-go, so I kind of expected that, but let's figure out what we can do out of it. Let's salvage it. So kind of come down here. I'm gonna pull a heel out of it. I'd like to use as much of this as possible, so just kind of bring that up. Maybe like a little drop point or something. Bring the tip up just a little bit more. So we'll put it in there. I think that'll be maybe a little bit bigger. We'll see. So I kind of want to go with a little bit of a drop point. I'm going to play with the angle of the drop point and how thin the tip is and stuff on the grinder. So I'm probably just going to cut off, you know, a little bit there, and then we'll kind of shape it on the grinder. I mean, you know, it didn't really work out to what I wanted it to do, so now we get to wing it, which is pretty much what this whole build is about. Throwing together a bunch of random stuff we found in the bin and wing it, you know, turn junk into something usable. So okay, so I got it cleaned up and profiled and stuff like that, and I do a little quick dirty test etch on it, and I can just start seeing that core steel creeping. It's very fine, and it's also about as thin as I want to go. I can see in the bolster that the edge kind of moved over on me. It's really bad there. So that comes from two things. One, when I was forging it, I wasn't really keeping as close of an eye on the core as I should have, because I was more worried about keeping the bolster and tang and everything centered. I think this is like my 3rd integral that I've ever done. So, and I made a mistake when I stacked up the billet. The cable was probably like 3/4 of an inch square, and I put a 1/4 of an inch thick core in there. So when I mashed it all down, obviously the core got really, really thin. So that's a mistake. I knew better. Just whatever, it happens. So after heat treat and stuff, I'm sure we'll be able to get to the core. It just won't be as nice and center as I wanted, but it's all good because we're learning. So, I mean, we're learning things for the 2nd and 3rd time, but we're still learning. But I'm gonna now go, we get the forge heated up and stuff, and I'm gonna go ahead and heat. No, I'm not. I have to fix the tang. So I gotta get my shoulders and stuff in. I'm gonna forge, not gonna forge. order of operations. I'm gonna get the forge hot, I'm gonna straighten the tang, then I'm gonna anneal it again and do my shoulders to get a nice fit up. Get the bolster nice and square at the back, so when I do my handle material, it'll have a, I'll say seamless. It's gonna be seamless-ish. But I dig the profile shape of the knife. It's not what we wanted to go for, but you know, it happens. Happy little mistakes. So I'm gonna try to get this right here cleaned up to where we can get our handle material fit up. And then from there, we'll be ready for heat treat, because it's, like I said, it's pretty thin now. I don't really want to go much thinner pre-heat treat. I'd rather grind a little bit more than have to worry about issues with warps and stuff, because this is a multi-piece billet, so the cable on the other sides and the core steel not being center, it could want to pull. So anyways, that's what we're going to do. I'm gonna work on that a little bit. The tang is cocked a little that way, which is no big deal. I can straighten that in one hit. So but yeah, I'm gonna get these shoulders cleaned up first. I do not have a file guide big enough for this. So what I'm gonna do is clamp it in the vise, try to do it the best way that I have the tooling to do. That is hard, yes. I'm definitely gonna have to anneal this again. Maybe not. Okay, so I've cleaned this up a little bit more, got the forge scale and stuff off of it, made sure the tang was nice and straight and tapered. Now I have my pieces, get them on there. So it's gonna be these orange liners, some Cocobolo, orange liner, some black epoxy casting, another orange liner, and the rest of that Cocobolo block. Obviously, I'm not going to use this entire handle, but I'd rather have waste, especially doing like a hidden tang. It's nice to have waste to play with. I might bring this white section down a little bit, but yeah, I think that's going to look cool. A little bit of color breakup in there. Cocobolo is always really pretty. Yeah, I'm definitely going to bring that down some. So let's get to shaping that, and then I'll get everything glued up. Oh no, I probably not. I was gonna say that too. I'm going on this one for experimental and testing sake. I'm gonna finish the blade and I'm gonna glue this all up, and I'm gonna shape the handle and clean up the bolster as one piece. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it or if there's a better way, but as far as a learning experience goes, that's how I'm gonna do it for this build. So I'm gonna take this down a little bit, finish the blade up, and then we'll get everything glued up. Okay, so I didn't forge the hand sanding. I didn't film the hand sanding process because it's kind of boring. Not really anything going on other than you taking it from a low grit to a finer grit, cleaning it up. So I got this in that Baker Forge gator piss. I've been messing around with this. So see what this does. So I'm gonna let that sit for a couple minutes and then check it out, make sure there's no splotchy spots other than the terrible forging marks, but and then we'll see what the pattern does and then we'll move on to the handle. All right, I got it glued up. It's a little bit crooked, but I've got plenty of play room in here. So I wanted to show this. I got this from, I've seen several other knife makers do it. Cut a little slot in these little squeeze clamps. You can clamp it in a bunch of different ways and get a little bit of pressure on it. I got it clamped on the bolster, and then I've got the clamp far up on the front of the knife, hooked on the edge of the vise, which gives me good pressure to push this up and make sure there's no gaps. So figured I'd share that. It's gluing up. Once it's done setting, I'm gonna shape the handle and we'll have this project wrapped up. Got the handle wrapped up. We're gonna go in some Barrick and get that etch redone. I got the etch a little bit darker. Went into some Barrick and did the gator piss back and forth until I got kind of what I wanted. So let's peel the tape off. I remembered to mark it with an X with a marker so I could actually find it. But this ready for some finishing up on the handle and some wax. I think it looks pretty cool. Okay, so it's kind of dark in here, but my light above me went out. I got some new lights and a camera mount and all kind of stuff on the way, so hopefully the next few videos will be better. But anyways, this is a integral out of some cable with a 1084 core. Got it sharpened up. And it is, I guess it would help if I keep it on the edge, but it is pretty interesting interesting little knife. I like it. It's kind of comfortable in the hand. It's kind of squared off, and I kind of wanted to do it that way to kind of teach myself to, you know, grind and stuff like that. And so hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like knife making content, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. We do giveaways occasionally. So if you're subscribed, basically all you have to do is I'll do a video, you just drop a comment on there, we'll get in on the giveaway, we'll do the build or whatever it is. Like, comment, and all that stuff or whatever. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it helps the channel. If you made it this far, thank you guys. Check out some of my other videos. Ask questions, drop a comment, say what's up, you know, something. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Till next time.